So today we're going to be talking about gold making on alts in hardcore classic WoW. This is part of my gold making video series for the launch of the official hardcore series, where so far we have covered how to make gold while leveling all the way from level 1 to level 60 in 6 different videos, covering it level bracket by level bracket, and today we're covering how to make gold with alts. Now before we get into it, I do want to say that I have made and published a gold making guide for hardcore classic WoW servers, which you can find a link to in the video description. This is currently a 134 pages long PDF document where I go through how to make gold with alts, how to use professions for gold making, I cover the best gold farms in the game, and the best investments that I have personally used to make tens of thousands of gold in pure profit. You can also get access to a private gold making community by purchasing the guide. Long story short, it's an incredibly beneficial product to anyone interested in making gold, so if you do want to make more gold and support me a little bit extra at the same time, consider checking that out through the link in the video description. Now, since it's also being sold in a public library or a public store, I also want to give some extra incentive to anyone checking it out through my videos, so you can use the code Solheim to get it for half price. Now, these hardcore servers offers a blank slate for gold making, and gold has the potential to become even more valuable than it has ever been before, so if you do want to make as much gold as possible on these servers, definitely do check it out through the link once again down below. Now, for official hardcore servers, gold is an incredibly valuable resource, and it will work in different ways than it did the first time we played classic WoW. First of all, which items will be in demand will be changing drastically, and items that increase your survival will be in higher demand than ever before. Think of limited invulnerability potions, speed potions, flasks of petrification, and so on. Sure, they had their place and demand in classic WoW as well, but for hardcore servers, they have been amped up several times over in terms of how relevant they are and how many people will use them, and therefore the demand has also skyrocketed. Now on top of that, gold farming will also work differently. Mage boosting will pretty much not be a thing, because by having only one life, a singular mistake will cost you your character. Mages AoE farming sulfuric or any other type of AoE farms will have way less impact on the economy itself this time around, due to the fact that any AoE farm will be drastically increase the risk of dying, and dying once will set you back about 100 hours of gameplay just to level up a brand new level 60, and that is if you're leveling fast. This means that people will care less about making the highest amount of gold per hour and care more about making a decent amount of gold per hour, while also staying as safe as possible. I'm not saying people won't AoE farm, but you won't see every level 60 mage permanently in Sulfuric or Maraudon like you did back in classic WoW, and only the most skilled and confident mages will be AoE farming. Now, this will have a pretty significant impact on the market itself, making any type of gold making incredibly valuable. Leveling alts is a very safe way to make gold, as long as you know how to level up safely. Once you get to the stage of being able to make gold on those alts, you can simply stand in a safe area and make that gold. Now, for the purpose of this video, I will focus on 3 different types of gold making on alts. Number 1 is passive gold making. This is where you can take advantage of a crafting cooldown and make gold from that cooldown. Number 2 is other professional crafts, like for example crafting bags. And number 3 is vendor flips. This is where you park an alt at a certain location to log in once or twice per day and check out a vendor for loot. This is mostly for limited supply items, but will cover a bit of everything. Now let's start with passive gold making, aka taking advantage of cooldown crafting to actually make gold. Now, the main way this works is that you have an item that has a cooldown to craft, you get a character up to this level and a skill requirement to craft that item, then based on demand, people will pay you for that cooldown. You can either buy the materials from the auction house, then craft the item and place that on the auction house for an upsell, or you can simply advertise selling your cooldown in trade chat, where people trade you their materials plus a crafting fee, and you then craft the item and trade it back. Now for this, there are mainly 3 items to look at. Number 1 is the Arcanite bar, which is transmuted through alchemy, and this craft has a 2-day cooldown. Now here you can turn 1 thorium bar and 1 arcane crystal into an Arcanite bar, which has a pretty solid demand throughout all of the game. You also have the Salt Shaker from Leatherworking, which has a 3-day cooldown and can turn Deep Rock Salt into refined Deep Rock Salt, which is then further used in crafting cured rugged hides, which are used in many endgame leatherworking recipes and are used throughout every content phase of the game. This one has a 3-day cooldown. Now the last one is the Mooncloth craft through tailoring, which turns 2 fell cloth into 1 mooncloth on a 4-day cooldown. Now Mooncloth has insane demand spikes in certain content phases, like when people start farming to obtain their Bloodvine set from Sulgurib for example, and it's also used in Naxxramas hand-ins to obtain Naxxramas gear. You also have smaller cooldown crafts. One worth mentioning here is Alchemy's Transmute Undeath to Water, which might have smaller profits than the Arcanite Transmute, but also has half the cooldown, since this one can be crafted every single day. Now for me, I've always tried buying this recipe early, as it always goes up in price over time, plus you can make your gold back incredibly quickly. Per my experience, you can make the gold back in about a month, and after that it's pure profit. Now this one obviously depends on the price of the recipe, plus how much profit you make per craft, but let's just say the recipe costs you 300 gold, and you get 10 gold profit per day from the transmute, which in my experience is roughly how the golds are going to look like. That means that after 30 days you would have made that 300 gold back, and it's pure profit time, 10 gold every single day. Now over a year, that is about 3,500 gold, right? It is worth noting that all of these crafts require a significant amount of skill within these professions, which means you need to have a level 35 alt in order to get your professions up to the skill required to get those items. Now getting to level 35 is a significant time investment, for sure, but considering these are hardcore servers, I really think the profits could be pretty good on some servers, plus leveling is fun. Next up, other professional crafts. This is where you can get really creative and mix and match your own crafts based on trial and error, craft a bit of everything and see what sells, then resupply what sells. I know that sounds incredibly dumb for a video trying to tell you how to make gold, but the thing is, if I tell you all to craft one item, the supply for that item will go up drastically, demand will stay the same, and the price will fall into oblivion. So my best advice is to think outside the box and craft and sell whatever other people are not doing. Either way, I'm going to share some of my best gold makers, which I think will be sticking around for hardcore too. Now number 1 is bags through tailoring. Personally, I try to sell a little bit of all types of bags from 8 slots and up. Now 6 slots I don't really bother wasting my time on, but anywhere from 8 slots and up you can really start making good profits very early. Especially on hardcore where people will die over and over and they have to start over every single time, bag space will be important on every single character, and anyone with some leftover coins will spend those on bags before spending them on literally anything else. You also have elixirs and flasks made through alchemy, and the good thing here for classic WoW is that most of the recipes for alchemy is actually bound on equip. So you can loot them on your main, then you can send them to your alt, and then you can learn them. Now personally, I've noticed elixirs and flasks always go up in price significantly with every single weekly reset, as people step foot into raids once again, so if you can grab some cheap herbs throughout the week, then pump out some flasks and elixirs on Tuesday or Wednesday, you can make some pretty insane gold. Next up we have some vendor flips. It is worth mentioning that most of the profitable vendor flips takes place in higher level zones, so keep that in mind. In this case, you can use logout skipping to your advantage when possible, or you can even get a warlock to summon you. I have a full list of 20 different vendor flips in my gold guide if you want access to all of them, but here are a couple of the most profitable and easiest to get to ones. You have Sia and Scissor in Winterspring. Now these two, they sell incredibly profitable tailoring and engineering recipes on a limited supply basis, and they are usually very competitive and highly camped. In some cases, these recipes sell for up to 100 gold, so there's some incredibly easy gold to be made here. Now if you want to park in alt here, you probably want to get a warlock summon, since it's pretty much a level 55 plus zone. You also have Deneb Walker in Rathia Highlands, who sells first aid manuals, which you can resell on the auction house for an upsell. A lot of people will easily pay extra for these manuals, so they don't have to travel all the way to Arathi to pick them up. These are also not limited supply by the way, so you can pick up like 10 of them, then sell all of them. Similarly, you have the Expert Cookbook found in these two locations for the Horde and Alliance respectively, which is based on the same principle of people not bothering to travel all the way over here to pick it up. Now, having ALTS in Classic WoW can actually be a gold mine, but like I just said, leveling takes time. But the longer these servers last, the more profit you get out of the time spent leveling, since you put in the work once and then you get paid for it for eternity, as long as you just log in once every single day. So the earlier you level up the alts, the more gold you get back for the time you spend. Once again, I'm streaming my entire hardcore journey live on Twitch and on Kick. I'm most likely live right now, so come by and say hello. After giving the video a like and a comment, the link to my Twitch and the Kick is in the video description, or go to twitch.tv/solheimyt.